Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I'd really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you could see it and you could purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the Ulysse Nardin GMT Plus Minus Perpetual, a timepiece that is both a dual-time GMT with 12 and 24-hour formats and a bidirectional settable perpetual calendar, automatic winding in 42 millimeters in white gold. The watch is substantial on the wrist, both in feel and in fit. As you can see, a 42 millimeter watch, really in name only, because of the strap, which has conforming profile ends. It wants to flare out a bit over the wrist, meaning the effective distance across the wrist feels more substantial than the 50 millimeter case measurement. I can show you just how stiff the strap is. Unless you have a large wrist, 18 centimeters or larger, you're going to find that you need to strap this one down and buckle it within the buckle to get proper sizing. I wouldn't recommend this watch for a wrist smaller than 16 centimeters circumference because of that rigid flare of the strap. That said, the quality of the strap is unimpeachable, as you get an enormous amount of leather. Bolstered to match the volume of the lugs, there's a handsome aesthetic symmetry about the arrangement. The watch is not thick. At 13.5 millimeters thick, it's actually fairly slender on the wrist for the degree of complication that's offered. The spacing between the lugs, if you want to fit the watch with a more flexible strap, is 21 millimeters. Now, the timepiece is remarkably wrought by a company that designs watches to be distinctively different. Ulysse Nardin occasionally polarizes with case forms, lug forms, bezel forms, dial forms, even complications that appeal to a niche hardcore horology enthusiast, as well as those who have slightly left-of-field taste in style. That probably means that if you're like me, you enjoy this watch. All white gold, you can see that it's matched with a symmetrical deployant clasp, which features twin trigger release. It's all in white gold, high polish, double folding, so the actual buckle itself is friendly on a small wrist because of the double fold. There are spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps internally so that the tolerances will never wear down, it will never become loose or ropey, and there's a trigger actuation that uses the swing arm as a spring to ensure that this heavy and substantial watch cannot pop off the wrist by accident. The strap, massively constructed of navy blue alligator leather with bolstering, a folded edge, a monotone stitch. You can see it is a brand new Ulysse Nardin factory strap underneath. The case band, all of high polish, with a little bit of the squat, rounded marine chronometer profile that you see on Ulysse Nardin's conventional timepieces, but this one more nuanced. You can see the GMT Plus and Minus triggers on the flanks, the lacquered cap of the Ulysse Nardin white gold crown, the fluted and shouldered lugs to break up the mass of metal with a little bit of visual nuance, and a concave bezel that also helps to pair the apparent mass of the watch, making it appear thinner and more elegant. And realistically, at 13.5 millimeters thick, it is fairly thin. The dial is beautifully dished with a slope down from the bezel to the dial base. Ulysse Nardin's nautical wave theme on center, a ruthenium gray dial with blue accents, tri-Arabics 12, 3, and 6, and you can see there are applique hand-delivered, diamond-polished and rhodium-plated loomed indices for the hours, a 24-hour scale outboard for the 24-hour second time zone, and you can see that the plus-minus system allows you to adjust the local time zone, and you can even use the plus-minus system to jump forward or backwards across the international date line, and the date will adjust. You can also appreciate, we'll roll through the date change one more time, that the watch includes a highly sophisticated perpetual calendar system. So take note of the date. Right now it is November 3rd. Now with the quick set system, I can set the grand date forward or backwards. Note underneath the 24-hour hand, which I've so thoughtlessly placed in front of the aperture, you could see that it will jump from November to October and back bidirectionally. There are very few perpetual calendars that can do that, meaning if you overshoot the date, you can turn it back, and in the year 2100, this watch doesn't need to go back to the factory with every other perpetual calendar. You have the day, you have the month, you have the double-digit date, and then you have the year and the decade. So 2019, this is a comprehensive perpetual. Chronometer certified, the watch is powered by a UN caliber 32, automatic winding, with bidirectional action. It features a magic lever style pawl-based winding system, 48-hour power reserve, the 34 joule movement beats away at 28,800 vibrations per hour, and the architecture is distantly related to a La Manna caliber designed for Ulysse Nardin and Ebel back in the early 1990s. Today it's built entirely in-house by UN. You can see the white gold Winding mast with a lacquered Ulysse Nardin nautical anchor inboard. All the nautical themes on this watch designed to remind you that Ulysse Nardin was a standout manufacturer of marine chronometers or navigation clocks for ships during the 19th century and right up to the mid-20th century. And when Rolf Schneider bought Ulysse Nardin back in 1983, all that was left of the company was the portion of the company that was assembling marine chronometers from old parts and servicing the originals. You can still send your chronometer back to Ulysse Nardin, even if it's not a wrist chronometer, and they will service it today. But if you want a more wearable marine chronometer with a travel time function and a bidirectional perpetual calendar, that's exactly what you get with the COSC certified GMT Plus Minus Perpetual. See it and make it yours on the Watchbox. The GMT Plus Minus Perpetual, fully loomed and water resistant down to 50 meters.